Have mercy on me, a sinner.
Yeah, it was two things really. And the bigger thing is that Cannes Film Festival over in France, one of the most longest running, most preeminent film festivals in the world, of course, really the first major start to festival season in the spring festival season. Uh, what's his name? Framu. I've definitely butchered his name. The head of Cannes, basically, he's French. Said that Netflix film longer awards eligible at the festival. They can still show their films there, but they will not be eligible for prizes such as their top prize, the Palme d'Or. And this is kind of coming off the heels of last year at Cannes, where Okja and the Meyerowitz stories, two really good movies that were Netflix produced, they got Cannes and it really pissed off a lot of French filmmakers. And the reason, of course, being is that film purists don't like the Netflix model where a movie you can release it all, or it gets, a 1 week token release in Los Angeles to qualify for the Oscars if they think it's good. And this is kind of the first major sign of, gatekeepers or, original contemporary people in the industry kind of pushing back on the Netflix model and trying to stick to what's traditional. And what do you think of that? Because, at the end of the day, this doesn't really change much for really anyone. A lot of the films that are at Cannes are not movies that even any American audience ever sees. But what do you think about this reaction towards Netflix?
I didn't really care much about the Cannes news, kind of for the reason you said. I don't really even recognize the movies that come from Cannes that I end up watching. But it was more the second piece of news with Netflix where Spielberg was basically saying that he doesn't believe they should be considered for the Oscars, pretty much for the same reason that if they're just being released on a large screen for like a week or two, just to kind of get out there, and then they go onto a TV platform, they're a TV movie. It's a hard topic, and it's one that I feel like we've been talking about for the last couple of years. Is like, how does Netflix move into this sphere? How do people consider it?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about if there's a difference between how these movies are made that are made specifically for Netflix and the ones that are made for the larger screen. Like if that affects the way that budgets are doled out in the movie. Like maybe you reduce the cinematography, maybe you try to reduce the soundtrack or the the original score, because it's just not most likely not going to be as powerful at people's homes when they're viewing it from that perspective. But it's nuanced, and I'm not sure if I have an opinion one way or the other quite yet. What's your take?
Yeah, well, the Spielberg thing's weird too because it's really just semantics. He's like, if they're great, they should easily be up for the Emmys. He has no problem with them being recognized. He just doesn't think they count for the film format and thus the Oscars, which I guess I understand. But I don't know how you can watch Mudbound and think, yeah, that was a TV film.
Right.
And on the other hand, like one of the Sundance movies that we mentioned when we did our Sundance breakout, check that out on our YouTube channel, was The Tale, starring Laura Dern, which was actually sold to HBO. So that was a film that was shot, but now it's going to be Emmy eligible because HBO has it now. It's not any less of a film despite it being on HBO and not getting a theater run. So it's kind of weird. It gets for the Cannes thing. I think it's if they want to go that way, that's fine. You have to have a theatrical run in France to be eligible for awards. That's cool. Whatever. I think a big part of this too is, Netflix. They set out to release 80 films in 2018, right? The 6 major studios released 96 films last year. So in order for Netflix to even come close to that 80 film target, they have to release a lot of crap, a lot of shit that people didn't want, like the Cloverfield Paradox, for example, which they took from Paramount. So they're not going to want to release all of that in the theaters anyway, because a lot of it doesn't deserve it and it won't make any money. It's not worth marketing, all those reasons. So I think both parties are kind of right in their thinking. And a lot of the filmmaking people, they argue that Netflix hurts ticket sales, which that's a big factor. We talked about that. It's kind of a different conversation. But at this point, I think both Netflix and everyone else. Just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, Spielberg, if you want to think that way, that's fine. I don't know if a lot of people really agree with you though. But it's an interesting conversation, and I'm sure this will not be the last time we hear about that. I mean, Amazon kind of does it a similar way, where they give a smaller runs to their movies. Like Lost City of Z was in theaters, not that long, but it had a decent opportunity out there. Not a super wide release or anything, but it's different than what Netflix does, which really is not really in the theaters at all. So we'll see. This definitely will come up again.
Yeah, I think as I'm mulling it over a little bit more, if a movie's good, it should be recognized, no matter whether it's the Oscars or the Emmys. And I also don't think there's any real threat to these Netflix movies winning these awards. Maybe for an acting category, but it would have to be a movie that's so culturally impacting, something like Call Me by Your Name. Like if that had been released on Netflix, I would have said that has a legitimate shot at winning some major awards. But I think the voters, though they're as diverse and non-traditional as it's ever been, I think are still going to gravitate towards the larger screen experience. So I don't really see it really mattering. If a movie's good, give it the recognition. But like you said, we're going to be talking about this a lot, so we won't beat it into the ground today.